All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we're going to talk about cornerback Jaylon Johnson of the Bears. Just some comments that he made recently about the NFL's top 100 list that came out. I don't believe he was on. I don't believe he was on the list. Now he said that he was snubbed. So he wasn't on the list. He was snubbed from the top 100 players list, and he told reporters that it was BS and disrespectful that he was not included. He said he doesn't know how you make the Pro Bowl, All-Pro, and not a top 100 guy. He continued. He said, I could have been 101. Aaron Rodgers didn't even play in the season he was voted in. And here's the thing, okay? Now, I agree with what he says about the top 100. Now, the top 100 is silly. It really is. Now, it's voted by the players. It's not really meant to be taken seriously, in my opinion, because there have been years. Now, no disrespect, but there was the year when Peyton Manning got hurt for the Colts. He was out the whole season, didn't play, and the Colts finished with the worst record in the league. They got the number 1 pick. They got Andrew Luck. Peyton Manning was on that list. And he did not play a single snap. Now, Aaron Rodgers at least played, some snaps, if you even want to say that. Peyton Manning didn't play at all. And he made it on the list. And it's just, I don't know how you interpret, well, I kind of know how you interpret this list. Because it just goes from the previous, it's the previous year, but it's just, it's a silly list. It really is. But I agree with him. This is a guy that made the Pro Bowl, All-Pro, and he's not even on it. It should be who makes an impact on the season, and they should be on it. It shouldn't be someone that only plays 4 snaps. But that's not how it is. But like I said, it's not really meant to be taken seriously. Now, you had Patrick Mahomes. I think he finished as the number 4 player, because you had Tyreek Hill, you had Christian McCaffrey, you had Lamar Jackson ahead of Patrick Mahomes. Now, Christian McCaffrey and Tyreek Hill had unbelievable years. Lamar Jackson won the MVP. But Patrick Mahomes did win the Super Bowl. Now, in terms of the full season, how did Patrick Mahomes play? Patrick Mahomes did not play up to his his level during the regular season. But when we got to the postseason, it was completely different. He played like Patrick Mahomes when we got to the big games. But in terms of the full season, I don't really see. That should have been what the MVP voting was. It should have been Tyreek Hill or Christian McCaffrey at 1, and vice versa at 2, and then Lamar Jackson at 3. One of those 2 guys should have won the MVP. I'm bringing it back again. But that's just, it's the players. The players are the ones that make the list. And I get the frustration, but like I said, I wouldn't be that frustrated over it, really. Because it's a list that, it's fun to watch it and, see the highlights of the players that make it. Although I really haven't paid attention to it in recent years. But it's pointless. You know what it is? It's a popularity contest. That's what it is. Now, I know there's some validity to it. But, for the most part, it's just, there's no point in even doing it. But it goes to show you also why I do not like rankings lists. I don't. They're hard to do. And you're always going to make someone, you're not going to make everybody happy. So every year, this is going to continue. No matter what you do, you're not going to make them happy. You're not going to make people happy. Now, Tyreek Hill was the number 1 player. Have no problem with that. When he was healthy, he was unbelievable. And Christian McCaffrey, of course, was unbelievable last year. So I get why people are like, well, why is Mahomes not number one when they won the Super Bowl? I mean, yeah, I mean, there've been years when the quarterback's won a Super Bowl, but he's not number one. But again, it should not be taken that seriously. So I get Jaylon Johnson's frustration, but it's not something that he should be that upset about, in my opinion. Because this list is just, I just don't think it should be taken that seriously. Again, it's more content for the NFL to put out there, and you could discuss it. It creates discussions. But and I know there was people again upset over Myles Garrett being ranked over T.J. Watt. There's a debate going on about that. Max Crosby being in the top 10, I know that has sparked up a lot of controversy. Max Crosby is a very good player, but is he a top 10 player? And it's just, it's just hard when you're ranking all these different players because they all play different positions. That's another thing too. It's hard. It's just hard to rank in general. But especially when you got tackles and cornerbacks and linebackers and quarterbacks and receivers and running backs. It's hard. How are you supposed to do that when they all play different positions? Now you can by their impact. I mean, there's ways you could do it, of course, because people have been doing it for years. But it's hard when you got guys that play different positions. I mean, I don't know. That's just me, though. But you know what? That's good. This is gonna. You know what? Jaylon Johnson may be upset about this, but this should give him more motivation to say, you know what? I'm gonna go out there and have a really good year, and show everybody I deserve to be on this list next year. Use it as motivation. Now, as for putting players on there that just did not play basically the whole year, I think Aaron Rodgers should not have been on the list. Now, he makes the list because he's Aaron Rodgers, because it's a popularity contest, but he should not be on the list because he did not play last year. He basically didn't play. He played 4 snaps. But he should not have been on it. And even Peyton Manning shouldn't have. Now, it makes sense why Peyton Manning was on it. Now, with the Jets, we didn't really know what to expect with Aaron Rodgers. I guess we expected them to be better than 7-10, but it was still unknown. With Peyton Manning, the Colts were a playoff team every year with him. And then the year he gets hurt and then when he doesn't play the whole year, and they end up finishing with the worst record in the NFL, it kind of makes sense why, he's on the list. Because that just shows you, look what happens when he's not there. But I don't know. I think you should leave the players that did not play at all off the list. Peyton Manning, I guess you give an exception, but yeah, I mean it's Peyton Manning, it's Aaron Rodgers, but they really shouldn't. Aaron Rodgers really should not have been on the list. And you guys know me. I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan. But in terms of the top 100 from just last year, he should not have been on the top 100. Because 4 plays, that's it. That's where the popularity contest comes in. So it is a valid point by Jaylon Johnson, but you know what? Like I said, use it as motivation. Go out there this year, play at a high level, help the Bears get to the playoffs for the first time in a while. Well, not really. I mean, 2020 was the last time they made it. I mean, it was kind of forgettable because, it's a COVID season and, they were one and done. They lost to the Saints. But, help the Bears get to the playoffs again. And, show that you belong in that top 100 list if it bothers you that much. So, I mean, that's just that's my opinion on it. I don't think it's something to be that upset about, but I get it because you have a guy that really didn't play that's on the list and you're not. So, that's really my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think, though. How do you feel about the NFL Top 100? Listen, they've been doing it for years. Not really a big fan of it because it's not really a fair ranking. But, I don't really, it is what it is, So, that's really my thoughts on it. But, yeah, I mean, let's actually, you know what? Before we go to break, let's look up Jaylon Johnson's stats from last year, because I know, because I brought up him getting his contract this offseason. So last year, he had 4 interceptions, 36 combined tackles, 1 forced fumble. Yeah, so he's tied for 7th in interceptions last year. 10 passes deflected. 31 solo tackles, 5 tackles with an assist. Had a pick 6. Yeah, I mean, had a solid year last year for the Bears. He played in 14 games last year. So, let's see what he does this year. I mean, look, the Bears are a team, a lot of eyes are going to be on them with all the talent they got. And, we'll see. We will see how it goes. I'm looking forward to watching them. And the defense. I mean, the defense played better towards the end of the year as well. So, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep an eye on them. And Jaylon Johnson, like I said, use it as motivation. So, so that's basically my thoughts on this topic. When we come back from our final break of the show, we will conclude by ranking the running backs in the AFC West. Now, this will be the final rankings that I do for running backs. So, and I honestly thought it was kind of hard because, again, I'll explain why when we get into the final segment. I did a little bit at the top of the show, but that's what we will do when we come back from our next break. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.